Think the ball club is tired? How about this guy up in New York at Citi Field? And that's Ben Goessling from MASNsports.com. I hate to ask you, what time did you finally – oh, you flew up this morning, though, didn't you?
Yeah, it was an early night or a late night, depending on how you want to look at it. We left the ballpark about 1 o'clock this morning. I got up at, I think, 3:45 for a 6 a.m. flight. Got to the hotel, checked in at like 9:45. They let me check in and got an hour worth of sleep, and I'm here at the ballpark for the game. So it'll be a little bit of a tiring night, but we're ready to power through it.
Hey, Ben, we're only 6 games in, but you've seen this ball club for the last 3 or 4 years. And what would you say are the strengths and the weaknesses? I know it's early, but with this ball club right now.
Well, as far as the strength goes, I think you see a little bit of a different attitude than we've seen in the past. Jason Worth was talking about this last night. They're going to have to play a little more small ball than we've seen in the past. They're going to take the extra base a little more often. They've been better about going first to third than any team we've seen in recent history with the Nationals, and I think fundamentally they're just going to be a little bit better. Weakness-wise, you still don't know about the pitching. I mean, the starting rotation has been good so far, but you kind of get the sense that may not last all the way through the season. So I think getting guys deep into games, getting good starting pitching is something they need to take advantage of while they've got it. And situational hitting, frankly, has been a problem. We've seen that in the past, but they haven't been great with runners in scoring positions. So they've run the bases well. They're going to play aggressive, but there's still a few little things that they need to clean up.
And Ben, Jim Riggleman's got the luxury of sharing closers, Drew Storen and Sean Burnett. And Burnett has been unbelievable. What, 21 consecutive scoreless innings now for the left-hander?
Yeah, and even going into spring training, he didn't give up a run. He's been fantastic, and I think that was really a situation that they weren't quite sure how that was going to play out. I mean, this really isn't the bullpen that we thought they'd have. We thought Henry Rodriguez would be part of this. We may see him eventually here, but Sean Burnett has really taken that role and run with it, and I think that's what they wanted, is for somebody to come in and say, this is my job, you're not getting it back. Now, Drew Storen is going to pitch in tight situations. He's going to pitch in 9th innings like he did last night. If there's a slew of right-handers up, we may see him, but Sean Burnett has been so good, and he's been so good against right-handers that I think it's hard to go away from him right now. He throws that slider to right-handers that makes him tough. He's better than just a lefty specialist, and I think he's going to be the guy more often than not that's getting the call in safe situations.
Ben, 2 questions. Ramos catching, do you think that he will eventually win that job? Is that kind of the talk around there? And do you think that Desmond is going to stay in the leadoff spot?
Well, I think with Ramos, I think that's definitely the plan for him to kind of take that job and gradually go more into it. They want to give Pudge Rodriguez some of the time just out of deference to him a little bit, but everybody sees what Wilson Ramos is turning into. So I think over time he's going to get more and more of the time there. As for Ian Desmond, I think we have to wait and see. Danny Espinosa can play there. They've talked about using him there a little bit. Those guys can kind of be 1 or 7, but Desmond is a guy that has been hot the last couple of days. He takes pitches, he can run the bases. And if he can become a little more selective at the plate, I think he can fill into that role. Neither one of them is completely cut out for it, but I think they kind of want to wait and see if one of those 2 guys can get comfortable enough with it to do it on a full-time basis.
And Ben, before we let you go, talk a little bit about the addition of Worth and LaRoche, especially the presence they bring to that Nationals clubhouse.
Yeah, you definitely see a difference, and I think a big part of it, like you said, is those 2 guys. Jason Worth has definitely set a tone in there. We talked to Sean Burnett about this in spring training. He said there have been a couple times where you see guys pull other guys over and say, hey, that isn't going to fly here. And we haven't really seen that in the past. And I think having guys like LaRoche, having guys like Worth who have played in a lot of places, seen it done a lot of different ways, and played for winning teams makes a difference. They've made a real concerted effort here to bring in guys that have won championships before, guys that know how to win and can teach these young guys how to do it. And those guys, Worth and LaRoche especially, embrace that role, and I think you see a more business-like, more professional atmosphere. You see guys maybe taking losses a little harder, and I think that's going to carry over.
Hey, thanks for staying awake while you talk to us. We really appreciate that. Very nice of you.
I'm trying to make a caffeine run here. Thanks,
I bet
guys.
you will. Ben Goessling at MASNsports.com.